Hi, everybody. I'm here with Mel Kelly, and we are talking about recruiter enablement. We're talking about it in a specific context. Mel, first of all, give us a quick introduction to you and your background.
Thank you. Yeah, so hello, I'm Mel Kelly. I'm the founder of MK Talent Advisory. So this is a talent acquisition, operations and strategy consultancy. I've been in TA for 15 years. Before I launched the business, I was at PwC for 6.5 years, where I was a senior TA leader. But I also spent 2 years in mergers and acquisitions, advising businesses on their recruitment strategies, on global carve-outs and integrations. And it was from that experience when I realised that the part of recruitment that I really enjoyed was really solving hiring problems from the systems that they're built on, rather than necessarily filling jobs. So that's when I decided to, well, I left PwC and then I launched MK Talent Advisory about 15 months ago, which, as I say, is the aim of the business is to tackle the issues that we all find ourselves in internal talent acquisition. So yeah, that's me.
And it is an extremely dynamic space. I don't even remember any I've been in recruiting since 1999, and I don't remember any time that's been as disruptive and dynamic and full of opportunity to enhance the way that you're doing things. Now, you have a specific approach towards talent acquisition. It's a framework called Impact.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah, no worries. So I think just a bit of background, like where this has come from. So when, like you say, it's super disruptive at the moment. And so I think creating sustainable recruitment solutions and approaches is really important. And when I launched the business, I had to think about how I was actually going to help clients. And I love getting into the detail of process and what have you. And I was thinking about the things that have prevented me in the past from being able to execute recruitment, the challenges my teams have come to me with, and then also the issues I've found with clients in a variety of different scenarios. And what I found was that there's actually around 6 different things that kind of come up on a regular basis. And so what I kind of coin these as now is like the 6 recruitment enablers for success, and then I kind of created that into an acronym, which is impact. And so I use the impact framework with my clients to determine kind of like the maturity of their recruitment processes, and how effective they are by looking across these 6 different things. Because I think when we're in recruitment, there's so many different elements to it, more than most people realize that aren't in recruitment. And I think sometimes it's hard to know where to start. And so by having this impact framework, it's a really good starting point to do deep dive discovery, unpick or pick through the layers, and really get to the core of the problem. And yeah, so far it's been super effective with clients that I've used it with. And so, as I say, it's an acronym. So should I just go through each one and let you know what
What
they
does it stand
are?
for? Yeah.
Yeah, so starting with I then, so that's inclusive hiring. So inclusive hiring practices, obviously they create fair, accessible and equitable recruitment processes. And so it's important for us to understand like where a business is on their inclusive hiring journey. So how upskilled are the hiring managers? Have they had training on, running fair and equitable processes? Do they understand what their biases are, and how they can try to mitigate those and challenge those? And then also using data to look at key metrics and data points that might show how inclusive you really are, and maybe where there's some issues coming up. The next one, M, so is for metrics and data. So this is about data-driven decisions, and using insights to kind of inform your strategy. And by using data points, you'll be able to transform your TA function, because what we need to do is be balancing balancing the data with real life experiences. And I think there's a lot of data in our ATS systems now, or maybe on spreadsheets or what have you, but it's how we're using them to tell the story that help inform how we actually approach recruitment. And so really understanding how people are using their data. Next one is process and performance. So when I talk about this is about the end-to-end recruitment process. We need to identify where the gaps are in the process to establish a plan forwards. And so when I say process, I'm talking about the structure of the recruitment process, the governance that's in place, the workflows across the recruitment hiring workflow, but also how that links in with HR and other teams. Expectations on the people that are part of the hiring process. What are the roles and responsibilities of those people? And do we have the right templates and toolkits that actually create better processes that then in turn improve our performance? Next one is A, so that's for attraction and employer brand. So building awareness of your employer brand is really key to attracting candidates into your business. How you write your job adverts, what you've got on your careers website is really crucial. It's like the first window into your organization. I don't think necessarily a lot of businesses spend enough time on that. And I think particularly nowadays, people are really driven by the culture, the principles, what drives a business forwards and their values. And so I think it's really important that we bring that to the surface, but then also make sure that what we're selling at the front end is represented throughout the recruitment process. There's crazy statistics on, what an employer brand can do from a cost saving perspective and a retention perspective. So it's really important that we focus on that. And then the C is for candidate experience. So for me, this is about identifying the moments that matter across a candidate's recruitment journey. I think this is the key to creating a really truly authentic experience for a candidate. And providing a meaningful experience. I think sometimes in recruitment, we can get a bit transactional and forget that changing jobs for someone is actually a really big deal. And, it could be they've sat down with their partners and their families to say, look, I'm going to change jobs. I want to change career. I'm going for a promotion, whatever it is. And it's up to us to give them the experience that they hope for and support them in that journey. And so by identifying where the touch points are on a candidate's journey and where we have influence over their experience and maybe influence a decision they might make at the end of the process is a super important part. And then lastly, for T, that's for technology. And this is obviously the most disruption we've seen in so many years around AI. And so really analysing and assessing the capability of that technology that a business is using is really important, or not using, as the case might be. And then identify, are they sometimes with technology, people are only using 30% of the system and then say, oh, recruitment's crap or what have you, but actually, or the system's crap, but actually you're only using 30% of it. So actually, if you optimize it, then you'll probably get what you need out of it. But I think one of the things that's missing when we implement technology, set up automations and now with AI is we're not doing our due diligence in the first instance to understand, well, what do we actually need this tech to do? Do we have the foundations in place to build technology on? Because we can power our recruitment processes with technology, but if you're powering a poor process, then you're just going to amplify the problems. And so, yes, we look at the technology side of things as well. And so that in a nutshell is the impact framework that I work to. So love to get your thoughts on it. It's the first time you're hearing about it too, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah. I mean, I love it. And so first of all, well done for being pretty concise in giving a summary of something that is so comprehensive. There's obviously a lot in that. And I don't think there's anything particularly missing. It's a really great way of bringing together all the things that you need to consider. And you're absolutely right. People that don't work in recruiting They don't understand how complex it is. They think that everybody's been a candidate and everybody's been a candidate and or a hiring manager. So they think that what they've seen is the extent of recruiting.
Yeah.
It's vastly more complex than that. There's a lot of moving parts. So you've done a great job of encapsulating that. And for anybody who's watching this, Mel and I were joking earlier about acronyms. We're both PwC alumni. PwC really, really loves an acronym. And so it's great the way that you've managed to get this into such a good word and impact.
Yeah.
Um, I actually developed a bit of a framework specifically for recruiter enablement. And that includes marketing operations learning and tools, MOLT. That's how we talk about it in that
Hmm.
specific thing. So
Yeah.
it's probably not a coincidence that you and I have both continued to use acronyms post PwC.
Yeah, absolutely. It is super complex process. And yeah, acronyms are great. And actually it's helped me just to kind of, even if you're just writing out a template and how you present it to clients, it just makes it so much easier to say, these are the 6 enablers for recruitment. Let's go through them. And like you say, they're super complex subjects. And so, it can take a while to kind of work your way through each of these. But if you optimize all of those 6, then you're just in such a great position for having sustainable recruitment that you can, it's repeatable, you're being cost effective, you're being efficient, but you're also, getting the best outcomes possible. And once you establish those kind of foundations or those 6 enablers, from there we can, look at other things like, okay, well, how are businesses set up for internal mobility? What are the systems and processes that we've got in place, or how do we build on what we've already got? If we want to look at skills first hiring, well, okay, well, now we've got some systems and process where we can collect some data, and how does that work with the HRIS system, and how does that impact what we're going to recruit and what we're going to build internally in terms of a skill set? And so it's just kind of, otherwise you can go in a bit blind, and the business might say, well, hey, we need these skills in the next 12 months. But if you don't have the right data and you don't have the right systems in place, you can't really provide a meaningful response to the business about what we can do realistically from a recruitment perspective. Do those skills actually exist externally or within our CRMs or ATS systems, or do we need the business to start building those? And I think that's where, as well, moving forwards into the future, where we need to be working more in partnership with the business. But I do believe if you don't have these kind of 6 foundations, then it's harder for recruiters to do their jobs when they don't have the tools to do them. And we've all been in those situations where you're like, well, I'd love to do a better job, but I'm not set up for success. And then people blame recruitment. And I've been doing a series on well, not a series, I did 2 posts about bloody recruitment. And what businesses might say, or hiring managers, or just people in general, saying bloody recruitment, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. But if we're not providing or enabling those teams, then we can't really moan about the fact that they're not delivering in some ways. So
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Lots of great insights. Mel, where can people make contact with you?
on my LinkedIn, it's probably the best place to contact me, or via email. I'm in the process of building a website. It's not quite live just yet, but for now, I think, yeah, DMs on LinkedIn, or email's fine.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great to find out more about the impact framework, and all the best with everything.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.